What you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, whether you love him or hate him, fear him or respect him, you'll never see his face. I'm talking about the incomparable Dirk Manning. He's on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4. And welcome back to The Zone. I'm Brant Fowler.
I'm John Wilson.
I'm Chuck Kennedy.
And soon we'll have a fourth guest. We're going to talk to him throughout the show, and we'll announce him. We'll introduce him properly here in just a minute. Real quick, we do want to mention that we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us each and every week on comicspodcasts.com, as well as many other fantastic podcasts, including several that are also on comic related. So check us out over there.
Topic time!
It's Topic Time. Feature interview.
So, Chuck, you want to introduce our special guest this week?
Oh, sure. Should have checked the show notes. All right. All right. Well,
nobody reads those things.
Why start now?
Yeah, exactly.
So let me introduce a man who makes Johnny Cash quite jealous, even though he's dead. Someone who's friends to all things scary, spooky, and has his own legion of followers who will go to any convention, large or small, to make him feel uncomfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, Dirk Manning.
Hi, guys.
What an introduction. Good to have you, Dirk.
I'm not sure if I was being welcomed or eulogized there for a minute.
I thought he was presenting Lady Gaga, so, I was surprised either way.
There you go. My poker face.
Oh, before we get too much into what you're here for, Dirk, how's little Dirk? I always have to ask.
Dirk Manning Jr. is actually stands right above me, and he's above me as I'm talking to you right now, because when I'm on the computer, working and stuff like that, sometimes if I start to veer off and to YouTube or surfing around or reading news for a minute or something, all I have to do is I feel this presence, and I literally look up to my left, and there's Dirk Jr. looking at me with his little Cthulhu, his little Shirley Temple in the books, and he just is looking down at me, and it's and then I just get back to work again. So he keeps me in line. He's wonderful. And he has a little mystery action figure with him now. So I think that's Dirk's muscle. It's I don't even think Dirk Manning Jr. would mess with me. He would just send the little Dirk Manning to come down the Tiki doll from Trilogy of Terror and just totally jack me up.
Oh my God, that thing is so scary. That's the first movie that ever scared me as a child.
Oh, so
scarred me to death. Oh my God, I could never even look at Karen Black again. So
I did not have that problem, but but the movie was scary. No, but for people who don't know what we're talking about, this is the Dirk Manning. I don't know if I want to say action figure or mannequinette.
Mannequinette. I like that word.
Totem.
I was going to use the word homunculus.
Holdable sex doll.
Yeah.
What exactly is this thing?
Well, to be honest, it's a Ken style doll that looks like Dirk.
That's
frightening.
It has a top hat, the jacket, the scarf. It looks like the Dirk Manning avatar that I use online.
Of course.
Comes with a little Shirley Temple, a little Cthulhu, and
it has a copy of Mr. Rhee.
He has a Nightmare World and Right or Wrong.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what? We should make sure we give a shout out to someone who won't be listening. CC Base Girl, who was my partner in crime with creating this.
Yeah. They put this together and presented it to me and made it look like I had a crazy stalker online and stuff like that. It was well played. It was amazing. It's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten. So it's
this goes above your experience signing body parts.
You're actually first and second place. I've only signed one moob in my life, and that was Chuck's. And then he gets me the Dirk Manning Jr. doll, so or homunculus or whatever it is.
It's like a video recording of our courting.
I'm going to turn him around now when I.
Shoot.
There's love in the air, boys and girls.
Yeah. So I hear you're still making comics, Dirk.
As a matter of fact, I am.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's why you stopped by this week.
That's why you had me.
That could be, yeah. But of course, you've got a new book coming out now, maybe.
It's coming out. It'll be out in a couple weeks.
Weeks. Okay, sorry. Tales of Mr. Rhee, Karmageddon.
Yeah, Tales of Mr. Rhee, Karmageddon. It's the sequel to the online comic that became the graphic novel collection from Devil's Due. Tales of Mr. Rhee, Procreation of the Wicked. That was Volume 1. Volume 1, it was more like very much a horror noir series about a paranormal troubleshooter named Mr. Rhee. Lives in a world where the Armageddon and the Rapture have happened, and everyone wants to believe that things are back to normal now, and Mr. Rhee knows they're not. That's kind of the short version. Well, Tales of Mr. Rhee Karmageddon, we're actually doing it as a 4-issue miniseries. This is a first for me in regards to my creator-owned work. Normally I do everything online or directly as a graphic novel. But we're actually doing a 4-issue miniseries this time, and then we'll collect it in a trade paperback, presumably, and go from there. Very different style for this book. We're doing full color. Josh Ross illustrated Volume 1, but now Seth the Moose is illustrating Volume 2. We have Tony Lee on colors. It's a full color book. And the short version of Volume 2 is it's kind of like Lone Wolf and Cub during the biblical Armageddon. Mr. Rhee has kind of takes charge or agrees to try to protect 5 children whose parents meet a very untimely end when demons start invading the earth from hell and everything else. And it's about him and these 5 kids that he's trying to protect, and I guess the choices everyone involved has to make as everything literally goes to hell, and Mr. Rhee promised their parents that he would take care of them.
Right. I gotta tell you, you did provide us with a copy so we could get a sneak peek at this.
Yeah, I think the first 2 issues.
The first 2 issues, yeah.
Yeah.
And very fun read. I loved. You mentioned the kids and stuff. I love the dynamic between him, Mr. Rhee, and these kids, and all their personalities are different. They have all these different opinions about what they should do and this and that, and it's good seeing it's really interesting seeing them play off each other.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's something too that Karmageddon is a sequel and a prequel to Procreation of the Wicked Volume 1. So, I mean, there's a framing sequence that shows you kind of where Mr. Rhee is at now. Because, at the end of Volume 1, we leave him in some pretty dire circumstances. But we learned this is what Mr. Rhee did during the Armageddon, during the Rapture that's talked about in the original book. It's the Rapture that actually took place during Nightmare World. So if you're a continuity freak, you'll see how all this ties together, and you'll see some characters from Nightmare World and Tales of Mr. Rhee. But it's a slightly younger Rhee than we see in Volume 1. It's still him, but I don't want to use the word softer because he's not really a soft guy. But kind of like you said, it's just interesting to see him in this situation where, as opposed to Volume 1, every time we see him, he's like in the middle of something. He's fighting monsters, or he's, fighting the Antichrist child who makes people scoop their eyeballs out of their head with ice cream scoopers, or he's going to an Amish village where a girl has been, injected herself with demon blood trying to get high, or so he's always like in the middle of some crises. And in Volume 2, while he's definitely in the middle of a massive crisis of, biblical proportions,
right,
we really do get to see what he's like when he's not always putting out the fires, especially in the first issue, when he's dealing with these kids and trying to help them cope with what's going on. And some horrible things happen too, but it's thank you, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
My pleasure.
Well, I really dug the way that thing started.
Yeah.
With the whole prequel and sequel thing, had a little bit of a Tarantino-esque feel to it right at the beginning. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's how I took it.
Thank
It
you.
was really cool.
Thank you. And it's interesting because the first issue of Volume 3, I had the or one of the issues of Volume 3, one of the artists was working on, said the exact same thing, too. They said, you have this kind of Tarantino thing going. And I'm a huge Tarantino fan. It certainly wasn't intentional, but I guess it's there more than I initially perhaps realized. And I was torn because I had two ways to do the first issue, and I can say this without giving anything away. I could have done it with or without the framing sequence. The framing sequence showing where's Rhee now. It's a couple pages of what's fairly expository heavy dialogue. Like, here's what's going on now. We see where Rhee's at. We see a quick flashback to what was going on. But the framing sequence is really crucial to the story as a whole. So it got to because initially when I originally wrote the first draft of this, I didn't have the framing sequence. We literally started with it was just going to be straight flashback. And I thought, well, maybe I'll put the framing sequence only in the trade paperback. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want this to be something that people will go pick up the issues. We're doing this as a mini series first because we want to start getting into the comic shops more than just having one graphic novel out a year. We'll do this way. We actually get some exposure, some penetration in the direct market. I say juvenilely. Penetration. He said penetration. But no, so yeah, it really became kind of, I guess, a no-brainer to me to do it that way, even though, we have a couple pages of talking before we get into demons everywhere and people ripped apart, horrible things happening. So,
Right.
But the framing sequence was smart because you do get this very quiet sort of story. You get this, exposition, but it wasn't exposition of him just talking in his own head. It was actually a discussion. Right. So I think it was very smart to use the framing sequence. That way you get, if you just jumped right into the action and the death of the parents and all that, you're not giving the audience time to acclimate back to the character, or for those people who are coming in, straight off of nothing, as I was, to see this, to become introduced to the character at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the other big part of it, too. Doing it this way, it allows people to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on. There is this group out there called the Promise Group, and Rhee did have some horrible things happen, and even getting to play with the flashback colors the way we did and stuff like that. And that's what we're doing with this issue. The first issue of Karmageddon, every issue is 22 pages full color. The first issue has a cover by Eric freaking Powell of the Goon.
Nice.
And it's 22 pages full color, Eric Powell cover, $1.99.
Wow.
I was actually surprised at that price.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see the cover, actually.
Yeah, you guys need to share with you, or I'll hook you up after the interview. No, actually, even if you go on Facebook and stuff, even I think it's on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
or DirkManning.com.
Yeah, go to DirkManning.
There you go.
You're the man. That's why I need to hire you, Chuck. Yeah, go to DirkManning.com. The cover's up there.
Wait, you have a website?
Yeah, I know. Finally,
arrogant of you.
Well, I finally decided. It was whatever year it is. And the reason we did the $1.99 was, here's the thing,
Tell them you're rich and you don't need the money.
Yeah,
I'm rich and I don't need the money. Yeah, that's what it is. No. Because comic writers are rich.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's why I tour all the time. I tour all the time because I have so much money.
Mm-hmm.
The Armani suits, give it away.
Right, and the hair gel.
And the hair gel.
Yeah, people don't understand it's just watered down concrete. But what we did is, when you look at, I have a pretty reasonable amount of stuff out at this point. I got the 3 Nightmare World books. I did a story arc for The Legend of Oz: The Wicked West. That's been collected. I had a short story in Dias de la Mortis by Riley Rossmo. And then aside from the Love Stories to Die For flip book, which was $5, almost everything I've done is available now only in trade paperback form, which means, or read it online. And a lot of people don't read stuff online. They don't read online comics. So what ends up happening is, if you hear about Dirk Manning, or Dirk Mother Effing Manning, depending, and you're like, well, I've heard about him, and I heard he's a good writer, blah, blah, blah. for the most part, you're probably going to have to drop $15, or even with Tales of Mystery Volume 1. It's either a webcomic, an online comic, or a graphic novel. You're going to have to drop $15. And that's something a lot of people are like, I hear he's good, and we all do that. Mm-hmm. Like someone says, oh, that book's really good. And then you pick it up, you hold it in your hand, you flip it over, it's $15.99 or $14.99 or whatever it is. And you're like,
dude, and you that's really, my lunch money. Come on.
Yeah, I could buy five other, not five other, no, current prices, more like three other comics.
Three other, yeah.
I could buy 3 comics that are 22 pages each, or I could buy this 100 and something page graphic novel. I could buy 3 comics of stuff I know I'd like, or extra content for the same price that I may or may not like. But point being, this was something that it's like, here's your perfect opportunity. 22 pages, full color, Eric Powell cover, amazing art by Seth and Tony, $2. Less than $2. It's $1.99. If you've had any inkling, this is your chance, But that's what I've been telling people up and down. I've been blowing up my social media, like telling people, pre-order, because this is your chance. This is it. It's $1.99. When this sells out, I mean, none of us are making money on this issue. Devil's Due's not making money. The artists are making money. I'm not making money. This was the thing that we did just to say, we believe in this. We know this is great. We know if you read the first issue, you will love the next 3, and hopefully you will then turn around and support us on the next 3, where we make our whopping 15 cents a copy.
Yeah.
So
I was about to say that's unheard of. Especially for an indie book, that's unheard of. But even a big 2 book, that's relatively unheard of these days.
Well, the big 2 books now are about $4 a pop,
right? At least.
Yeah, and
they could stand to let go of a book at $2 every now and then, but
well,
for an indie book, this is a major thing because, like you said, nobody's getting paid here.
No, we're doing this because we love it. We believe in it.
Promotional, yeah.
And we believe, and this is a chance, I mean, and like I said, I mean, historically, I've given all of Nightmare World is available online for free to read at the Shadowline website or through dirkmanning.com. You can get to it. The original Tales of Mystery, all of it was available online till we went to print with Devil's Due, and then we took it down. But this is a chance, less than $2. I mean, for that's worth the cover alone in this case, So it's just a chance people check out the book, see what they think. But the key is going to be to pre-order it. Go to your comic shop and ask them to order you a copy if you don't have one yet, because when they sell out, that's it.
They're gone. Yeah.
They're gone. I mean, I've been screaming it from the mountain. Get it while you can. Get it while you can. Get it while you can. Because when it's gone, that's it. Then it's collectible. Then you'll be paying, paying 3 times the price. You'll be paying $5 for it. You'll be mad. Then it'll be the price of a big $2.
There you go.
It'll be as much as 10 in New York. You just watch.
Yeah. I think I requested 17 copies of my LCS. So I'm good.
17.
You'll be rich. You'll be able to flip those and.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to flip them for. Probably $250 on eBay's cheap market.
I was about to say, could you sign them all? eBay, best wishes, eBay.
I'll tell you, I do a ton of shows. Last year I did 15 shows in 15 weeks. I just started last week a tour that's going to have to beat that because that rotten, no good Victor Dandridge decided to one up me and do 17 shows in 17 weeks.
Yeah.
So I gotta watch out for that guy.
Yeah, you really gotta watch out for him.
Well, he's the Obi-Wan to my Qui-Gon Jinn, and he's actually the one that used that analogy that I created a monster in this case, and this was a case of, and I mean this with no disrespect, and I think he would go to bat for this. I'll find out Saturday. He can, smack me in the head if he disagrees with this, but this was a case of the student trying to surpass the teacher, and that's fine. But anyone who's watched a kung fu movie knows. The teacher teaches you some things, but always holds something back for someone that gets very good. Victor is very good. Victor took his family with him. He made it work. He did 17 shows in 17 weeks. The Ice Bucket Challenge and having a brand new car delivered to me by the dealership at my first signing was just a smidgen, just a taste of what's to come with this tour. And that's to say nothing of what I'm doing in April for the Dirkest timeline. But I got to get my title back first. I first have to get my title back from Victor on this tour. Then I'm going to completely crush the opposition and do something that no one else has ever done before or will ever be able to do again.
Uh-oh. Let's see. You heard of Victor. I know you listen to this show sometimes, so you've been called
Victor's
out.
listening.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely listening.
He's listening right now, I think.
He may be. We may not even be live.
He's got a bug. Yeah.
He actually put the bug. He bugged Chuck's bug in Dirk Manning Jr.
There you go.
Yeah, you better check inside that mystery action figure for a camera.
Right. That's why it's trench coat moves. But so
no, that's the other thing. But
wow.
But yeah, you know Victor. He's surpassed you by sneakiness alone. He's got that daughter of his selling for him, and you can't do that. And he's taken off 2 bits off of all his work. It's only 6-bit now. That's how he just zoomed right past.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually going to see him this coming weekend at Superfly for their 7th anniversary sale down in Yellow Springs.
Oh, cool.
So I'll get to see him there and tell him right to his face that this is the end. Your whole and I've told him this. Obviously, it's a friendly rivalry, but I told him, I said, you're holding my title. Make sure you shine it before you give it back, because you're about to give it back.
I do have to say, your ice challenge was more impressive than his, too.
Well, that's another case of like someone else making me a Dirk Manning. That actually was just delivered to me that day as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like I had that thing in hiding, waiting to bust it out.
Right.
The one that Chuck and the Bass Girl made me, I couldn't dare get that one wet because the hair was too perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. Of course the bet was, would 50 gallons of water mess up my perfect hair?
Yeah. And
at least you actually used a bucket.
Yeah, it was actually a barrel. It was
yeah, it was.
The guys that worked at Sean's Anime and Comics, that was a barrel used to collect fresh water, like rainwater, for troops.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And it was like so heavy that, and you see in the video, they almost drop it on my head.
They did. I saw that the first time. I was
said,
like, oh, crap.
whatever you do, don't drop it on my head. I had a severe concussion number of years ago.
Oh.
Don't drop it on my head. And come to find out after the fact what almost happens.
Yeah, I saw it, and he had this look in his eye. I thought it was a joke for a second, but his eyes got wide as he almost dropped it. And I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that till afterwards.
Yeah.
Crazy. But it worked out.
It worked out, and it was, so thank you. It was good.
Yeah.
It was just a taste of things to come.
But getting back to the book, of course.
Yes.
What made you want to tell this particular story with the character?
In Nightmare World and even in Tales Mystery Volume 1, I talk a lot about the Armageddon, what happened. In Nightmare World, we see little snippets of it, but we didn't really get a big taste, and I feel kind of bad. It's kind of like, being the best, knowing that someone's the best fighter in the room, but never seeing them fight,
Yeah.
Or to use my grandfather's very inappropriate joke, having the biggest unit around, but never using it, So that was part of it, to really kind of roll up my sleeves and get into the nitty gritty of the Armageddon. It won't be a secret when issue 1 comes out that volume 2 has Cthulhu in it. We'll actually see a little bit more of the Cthulhu rampaging that we saw in Nightmare World through the cities, things like that. So part of it was me just wanting to kind of show that and show what it was like for someone to try to survive what would eventually be a 3-day Armageddon. Another part of it was, and you kind of alluded to this a minute ago, to see what mystery would be like with normal people. The whole first volume, he doesn't really interact with normal people. We see the inner circle he runs with, other warlocks, and his best friend betrays him, and you find out that his teacher is I alluded to it pretty strongly in volume 1 that he was pretty much a scumbag, and you see just how effing terrible he is in volume 2, and to show, one, his interactions with normal people, but also too kind of how haunted he is, aptly so, by the things that have happened to him. So that was a lot of it, and then just to be able to tell, this is the perfect kind of story to tell a big long form story. This is a big 88-page story about Mr. Rhee. It's not broken into tiny little chapters and things like that. It's broken into 3 days. What happened? Nice. So that was a big part of it, and it was fun to get to write the kids too, to really get to dive in and just, as you said, show these different personalities and how would normal people react to this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about your parents are just killed, and this kind of intense, scary looking dude, who's like, come drive away with me in my van. Right. It's like,
I have candy.
And puppies.
Yeah. I got free Wi-Fi, but so that too, and show how the kids see him, and which is something you see in the first issue, and as the series goes on, how they react to how Mr. Rhee reacts to trying to protect them.
Right.
That was the main stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I could probably go on a lot more, but I don't want to give anything away about later in this series.
Oh, yeah, of course.
One thing about the books kind of surprised me. Well, there were several surprises in the books, but one thing that really surprised me is the art style. Because given how dark the tone of the book is, this isn't exactly a happy book, but
not by any stretch.
But the art,
I don't know. I was happy.
Well, you were happy because you enjoy the darkness. But the art style isn't dark by any means. It's very, I would consider it a very light art style. Mm-hmm. That hides nothing.
Right.
Normally the aspect would be to go for darkness and a lot of shadow. Even in the daytime, it'd be before to accentuate the darkness. And I was really surprised that the artist you had on this went the other way. And I actually found it rather pleasing that happened.
Yeah, it's funny. Our publisher, Josh Blaylock, when he started, Josh has been really good to work with in regards to, he's been very hands-off on the project. And this is actually something we had to kind of acclimate to a little bit, because I'm very used to saying, here's a finished book. Because you said you're going to print it. Here's the book. Print it.
Go print
it. And Josh has completely stayed out of our way and let us do what we want. And the other times he's given us constructive criticisms where we would need it the most, which was in cover design. But he was even saying, it's like, yeah, it's crazy with Seth the Moose's art. Like, even in the first issue, in the first couple of pages, the mom is literally ripped in half from head to toe.
Right.
Ripped in half. And you're looking at it, and at first you don't realize, it's kind of like, oh my God! But it's not a traditional horror art. But even in Volume 1, we did the same thing. And even if you look at all the work I've done with Nightmare World and everything else, there is a place for that quote-unquote horror art. And it's kind of weird to think about it this way. When I work with Riley Rossmo on his story, he's much more considered probably a horror artist, when he does stuff like Drumheller and Proof and things like that. And I gave the horror artist, and Riley and Diaz de la Mortis, a love story. And then, like in Volume 2 is Seth the Moose, who some people would say has more of a Darwin Cook, Cameron Stewart, animated they're quote unquote cartoony.
Yeah, I didn't want to use the word, but
I know,
kind
it's like
of.
a bad word in comics. It's cartoony.
Yeah.
Well, it's not cartoony, but that animated style. That's what I like to do with this stuff. I like to juxtapose that really well, and it does scare a lot of people. They're like, Seth's an amazing artist, but do you want him doing a horror book? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. I had a couple different options of where to go on Volume 2, art wise, and it was when I was talking to Seth, and he said a couple things, and it was like, bam, you're doing it, you're in, you're the one, I choose you. And he's like, what? I'm like, I want to do this book with you. And then even there is several versions of the first couple pages of the book, and meaning the flashback scene. You know, when we get into the actual road trip, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Because, and if Seth was here with me, I know he would have no problem telling you this as well. In a way, he was trying to follow Josh Ross from Volume 1. And he was trying to kind of make his style conform to that look. And the pages, I'd look at him and I'm like, they're good, but... He's like, well, I'm trying to do this other thing. And I'm like, and it's good. And it was really good. But, and finally I'm like, listen, man, I want you to, I picked you to draw this book because you're the one that can do it. When he's sitting there and drawing the kids in the car and the kids talking, that expression, that motion that he brings to the page, the emotion that he brings, is palpable. And I hate to overhype, but you guys read the first 2 issues. Even when you get to issues 3 and 4, and things get, spoiler, more and more extreme as it goes.
Right.
The emotion he brings to that page is palpable. And when he finally kind of got to that place, we were talking, and I told him, I said, Seth, if I wanted someone else to draw this book, they would have. I want you to draw it, and I want you to own it. Mm-hmm. That's when that's when the snap. That's when we turn the corner. And it just really became this really fun process. And that being said, Anthony Lee deserves monster props on the colors as well.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of colorists, and colorists are crucial. Never before have I worked on a book where the color is such an important part of the book as with this one.
Right.
With Volume 1, Austin McKinley, I always say, gave Volume 1 its tone. Because he made it look perfectly. He was the colorist of the first 6 issues, and he set the tone for the black and white noir film feel I wanted Volume 1 to have. And then if you buy the Volume 1 trade paperback, you see the back section's all full color. It's like, yeah, look, we chose to do it this way, people. We wanted it in all grayscales, solid. It's a colored book, but it's colored in gray, But with Volume 2, with Seth's really expressionistic, animated, lively art, and then Tony's colors. It's a very different feel. And as you mentioned, it's something that kind of initially I think shocks people's system a hair. Because wait a minute, this is a horror book, but it's bright.
Yeah.
Well, it does, because while you were talking, I think I finally came up with a word for it. Less the fact that it's cartoony, but that it's soft. It's a very soft art that really... when you look at the kids' faces, they're very much children's faces.
Right.
They're soft. They're that kind of, showing that innocence and that kind of, lack of having seen horrific things up until a few minutes ago. Yeah. But then you transfer that style over to images of horror. The father laying under, what the hell, I'll say it. All right, the father laying under this huge severed demon arm.
Yeah.
Nearly, if not completely crushed. Mm-hmm. Or, as you mentioned before, the mother split in half, and to me looked like she was almost merged with the car. Mm-hmm. It's shocking when you take that softness and apply it to something so horrific. Yeah. And that's what makes it refreshing.
And I think I'm going to say something that is possibly could get me in trouble, but...
Oh, please. We do that every week.
Won't be the first time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of horror books cheat by using horrific art.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, they do.
One of the best horror comics of all time, Lock and Key.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. And the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The art is a clean art. Mm-hmm. And even like The Goon by Eric Powell, it's a fairly clean style. Right. But I think a Lock and Key especially, it's clean and it doesn't cheat. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's in your face. It's very much there, present.
It's the real world. This is what the world looks like. You have a friend or a family member or something that passes, they don't suddenly become this horrible, gnarled, shadow-laden thing.
Right.
It was your friend. That was your family, and now they're just not there the way they were.
The light still affects them the same way.
Exactly.
Even though they're deceased,
Right.
Yeah.
And you look at stuff like, Mike Mignola's Hellboy stuff. That is a world of Shadow. That is, that's the universe he's created, and it works. And then you had Guy Davis doing BPRD, and then the new artists doing it and stuff. Amazing stuff. But that's also the world he created. That's the look of the universe. That is the world that Hellboy lives in. Mystery takes place in a setting that's meant to be the real world. I was going to say the real world, in a way, so yeah, I absolutely. It was a very definitive choice. Seth and Tony are just killing it. No pun intended, but I mean, really, I've just been so happy to work with them. And Seth is such a talented artist. He's worked on a couple of their books before. And then just to get to do something like this and really work with him and show what we can do together. And like I said, too, and big props to Tony because, as amazing as Seth's art is, and his art is amazing, him and Tony have worked together for years on some other books. And then to work on this, and we've all pushed each other. I mean, we are all very tight. We were tighter than, we've all pushed, pushed. I mean, Tony went through several, up until like a week before the book was printed, we tinkered with the color scheme and stuff like that to give it just that right look. But then you see the final product, and we're like, we're like, we're brothers in art,
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, it was very, very deliberate. And again, I would just turn people to stuff like Lock and Key, as a perfect example of you don't have to have the dark, gritty cheater art. The gore. Yeah, I mean, there's some gory, nasty things in this book. I promise. But
they're there.
Though, yeah, but we're not gonna play hide the ball either, and it's part of life, man. It's part of the life that they're living in. So yeah, they're bright, innocent kids, and surrounded in a world where there's demons and monsters and death and murder and Cthulhu and horrible,
slightly apathetic angels, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm not.
Let me give you guys another compliment on the whole production. I've only seen the 2 issues that you gave us to look at, but I was happy when I saw that Seth was going to be doing the art on this because I love the stuff he did in Xenomorphs and
Xenoholics.
Xenoholics, that's what it is. Yeah, I always
Xenomorphs. That's the alien.
Yeah,
that's a different.
He could probably do that really well too, but. The way it, the first issue it's got a lot more exposition in it, with dialogue and with some backstory filling, and it moves really fluid. But that second issue, Seth's art, I think, elevates it to another level because there's not a lot of dialogue, there's not a lot of exposition and things going on, but the story moves so fluidly, and you're able to see, what's going on, and it just kicks this really into gear. And the way you guys have worked together to do this, and people can call me a homer for saying this, but I think it's a tip of the hat to the original Grandmaster of Horror, Lovecraft, where he gives you just enough of the terror and the horror, and pulls back and lets you take it to the real scary level that works only for you. And I think that's what you guys are really accomplishing with this. From just the partial views of the carnage that exists to the contrast with the bright colors, and then the little things like the little Easter eggs in there for the creators. I won't say that. I'll let everyone find that.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that myself just now.
Yeah, and then I love the way the big bad guy just comes out, and he's not shown fully, which honestly I don't think he ever should be because he's that big, and he just looks intimidating. Everything looks like it's just, paper mache in his way, which really it is. But I think you guys he just knocked it out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Well, an analogy that I gave early on in this, one of the joys of working on this particular book and working with Seth is we can just, when we get on the phone, it's never a 5-minute conversation because we'll just start really jamming and talking about style and technique and approach. And something that Seth really hung his hat on early on and refers back to often when we talk is I wanted this to read like a horror movie. and I mix those comparisons very blatantly because, I wanted it to, you set it up and then it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I mean worse in a good way, worse in a horror way. Not like, God, this book sucks.
Right.
But you get the initial hook, what's going on, and then again, let's give these characters a little time together, and especially Rhee and Abby. I mean, that's a very central part of what this book's about because Abby is kind of the oldest child, is kind of the patriarch of her, the matriarch of her siblings.
Whoa, that's a big reveal.
Yeah, big reveal. That's a sleepaway camp reveal right there.
That happens in issue 3.
Oh.
Yeah. Google that reference, kids. But my all-time favorite Easter egg in Nightmare World was a sleepaway camp joke I made in Knee Deep in the Dead. Just putting that out there. But anyway, Abby becomes kind of the matriarch of her siblings, and getting that time in the first issue when these characters all get to know each other and we kind of see where everyone stands. And then things just unravel. And one of the things you'll see in the book as it goes on over the 4 issues is things continue to unravel worse and worse and worse. I mean, to me, one of the most chilling panels, and I'm not going to give away what it is, but it's the very last panel of the second issue.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing about.
Yeah, it scares the shit out of me. And it's a very pedestrian shot. It's not like nothing like that. But it's just like, oh my God. Yep. And again, Seth's expression, he nails it. And it's really that sign of like trying to hang on to smoke. Mm-hmm. Everything's unraveling. And like you said, Chuck, it's like that Lovecraftian approach to horror. What do you do when the world unravels? What do you do when Cthulhu comes crashing down and your parents are just murdered? And, to use a quote from an old Garth Ennis Punisher story, when one day you wake up and up is down and black is white, everything's different. Your parents aren't supposed to just suddenly die. They're not supposed to be murdered. They're not supposed to be murdered at the same time. And monsters aren't supposed to be coming out all over the place. And you're supposed to be safe. And, and the place you go to be safe. And then there's the whole overarching theme in this whole book of even where Rhee is taking these kids. Mm-hmm. He's. Yeah. I don't want to give things away to people that have read it, but there's a whole nother level to this too. Of like, he knows he's going into the mouth of the lion. Yeah. But it's like he has this great line, about I'll keep you guys safe, and it's like. Really? You couldn't keep yourself safe, and now there's 5 of them?
Well, he's taking them to the ultimate van with puppies and candy, essentially,
Yeah, but it's the only safe place.
That's the only safe place
that he could think of. He's like, that place, or you will be safe here. So yeah, it just, as things perpetually get worse for the characters, and things get more and more horrible, and the house is caving in, and the sky is falling apart and all that. Yeah, that was very, very intentional. And again, and what you'll see, and Chuck, you referenced this too, is Seth just continues to cut loose and recognizes that was this book needs a certain amount of, the story has a certain amount of momentum, and he's been able to carry that momentum in the art. And again, and I'll say this again, same with Tony with the colors and stuff like that. I actually, as Tony started coloring pages and we were doing the flashbacks in red and stuff like that, I was writing in a way that I was incorporating color into it more and more, which is not how most people, I would wager, write comics. Is like, how would this be colored? Mm-hmm. But it all.
Yeah, I noticed that was the shades of red throughout those particular things. I thought that was a brave choice, actually.
Yeah,
to do everything in that singular palette like that. And the thing that made me laugh was not only, the expression of the boy, but then your tagline at the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, worse?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'll say this. Volume 2 is a pretty crushing issue in and of itself, especially after 1 is a little more gentle. It's still scary and there's still a lot of tension, but it's a more gentle issue. Then, the end of the tagline for issue 3 is things get worse.
Yeah, it's like, aren't they worse enough? No, you really need worse.
I will tell you right now, in Tales of Mystery Karmageddon, every single page basically gets progressively more challenging and more difficult and more horrible in that momentum. And it was like a good movie, it just keeps amping up, amping up, and amping up and amping up. And we just continue, again, I'll mix my metaphors or analogies, but just push the pedal to the metal more and more to the point where we're just burying the needle on this and keep going.
You're allowing no time for the reader to breathe anywhere in there.
Hey, you know what? The whole first issue to breathe.
Yep. Now for the rest, hold it.
And now that's it. Yeah, now start swimming for the surface, and you may or may not make it at this point. Yep. And Seth and Tony just crushed it with keeping that momentum going. I mean, issue 3 is fully illustrated. Seth's working issue 4 right now, and issue 3 is almost fully colored. And oh my God, I mean, as crushing as some of the stuff in issue 2 is, it's like I don't want to overhype because it's months away from people getting to read it, but issue 3 is so much worse. And then issue 4 is like ridiculous. It's so bad. Oh God,
Yeah, I want to say it's a beautiful book, but that doesn't seem like the right word to say for this kind of book,
I don't know. I think it's spot on.
It is beautiful, yeah. I agree. I did want to say one more thing about the colors, since we're talking a lot about that. I do appreciate the lightness of the rendering. I think it could have been very easy to over-render this and give it a completely different feel, but it's bright, but it's still muted, and it's not, overly detailed and stuff. So when there is like a big punch, like some of these big giant sound effect panels and stuff, it just really pops out at you, and it just kind of adds that impact when it's needed.
Well, yeah, like being. No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like the smart thing he did, first page in the mirror. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's significantly light in the reflection like that. Mm-hmm. I would say, 6 out of every 10 colorists wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like Brant, in this case, I feel like I should send you a royalty check because we knew we wanted Tony to color this book. He's worked on so much of Seth's stuff, mm-hmm. and Seth and I had very extensive conversations about the color palette to go on this, mm-hmm. because especially with Volume 1 being all totally colored in grays, like a film noir, like a black and white movie.
Right. Yeah.
We knew what we kept talking and again, and Tony did. Pardon me. Tony did some color samples and stuff, and we finally decided on exactly what you said: a bright yet muted palette, because we really want this to be a book that it's bright. It's a comic book, for God's sake, okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want to do the cheat and hide everything in black. We are not Mike Mignola. This is not Hellboy. Again, this is Tales of Mr. Rhee. And with this story, we want it to be a vivid but muted book. We didn't want to make it look kiddish. Because the problem is with a lot of the main characters being kids, it's mm-hmm. very easy to fall into that trap of make everything over-rendered and extra bright.
Right.
No, this is still a horror book, but let's find that real world, vivid colors, but then mute everything. And like I said, it was a week before the first issue was being printed and I'll give credit where credit's due on this. Seth came in and said, you know what? I think we should take out this one layer of black to punch the colors out of hair more. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're saying that we should go through and just recolor the book in like a week? He's like, well, not recolor, just adjust the levels a little bit here. And I said, okay, listen. And again, this is kind of like how the sausage is made, hashtag sausage making. And I said, listen, we all communicate on this. With the whole book, all of us, Leah Letterman, our editor, Jim Reddington, the letterer, myself, Tony, Seth. When we email, we all email each other. There's no secrets. And I said, I see what you're saying, and Seth had to sell me on this a little bit. And I said, okay, I see what you're getting at here. I said, but you can speak the language better with Tony. I said, so you tell him what you're thinking, and then we'll, and they'll say, yeah, man, let's try this. And the end result speaks for itself. It just really beautiful book, but it's also a very horrific book. So it's beautifully horrific, I guess.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to sell my own stuff like that. But I know it's good. I know there's nothing else like it. The Monster Hunter trope has been done to death, but you'll never, ever, ever read a book like Tales of Mystery. Any of them.
Absolutely.
So, that brings me to my next question. After this has run its beautiful course at breakneck speed, what can you give us a tease on what's coming up for you?
Volume 3.
I know that. Why do I even talk to you?
Dirk Manning strikes again.
Yeah, I was about to say, obviously you don't understand the concept of podcasts. You have to expand on that idea.
Yeah, those were I did music drills over years, and
Yeah.
I always remember vividly the musicians I would talk to that were the yes nos.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Thanks for that, pal.
Yeah.
how much do I want to say about Volume 3?
Right.
All of it, we won't let anyone know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no one actually listens to this podcast. Detail it all.
And you guys are old friends, so I'll tell you a little bit.
Okay.
If the cover artist that has verbally committed follows through, it'll be another amazing horror artist doing the cover for the first issue. I keep debating if I wanted to do an OGN or issues, and I think we'll go issues again. It's going to be in the present. So the whole book will be in the present now. We've done the kind of the flashback story. We're going to move forward with the present and kind of build upon the framing sequence of Volume 2 with Mr. Rhee's new situation. And what I'm doing for this one is it's going to be 5 or 6 one-shots that all tell kind of, I guess, this will probably make sense to you guys, linear Nightmare World style, in the sense that it'll be 5 or 6 linear chapters of a story, but each chapter, each issue is going to focus on a different character or set of characters, and mystery will be in there as well, but then each chapter, each issue being illustrated by a different artist or art team.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
There, is that better?
That's a little bit better, yes.
So,
No, actually, we want an hour. Expand.
But yeah, I'm not going to get into who's drawing what yet or anything like that, but definitely some old friends, as well as some new faces will be contributing to that. And then the other thing that's coming up is Mr. Rhee actually has a crossover into Mercy Sparks.
Oh,
which
nice.
is
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Issue 7 of Mercy Sparks features Mr. Rhee. Very, very cool issue, and a lot of other little Easter egg, not even Easter cameos as well. The aborted fetuses from Arsenic Lullabies by Doug Paskevich are in there. I don't want to give away the other ones, but there's some real cool little cameos from a bunch of other creator-owned books in there. But
Sweet.
in issue 6, and Mr. Rhee has some small cameos in 6, but then issue 7, it's Mercy Sparks Tales of Mr. Rhee crossover.
Nice. Very cool.
Which Mercy Sparks, for anyone that doesn't know, it's a book about a devil girl that works for heaven.
Right.
And fun book. And the deal was when we did this that Mr. Rhee could be in issue Mercy Sparks, but then I get to tell the flip side of the story in Tales of Mr. Rhee. Okay. So that'll be something down the road as well. Will be the flip side of the story, which I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to give away Josh Blaylock's story, but we'll get to see the other side of the Mercy Sparks crossover story in Mr. Rhee down the road as well.
Exciting stuff. Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, if I had to write one comic series the rest of my life, it would be Tales of Mr. Rhee, no doubt. There's a lot to do with the character. There's a big story. Everything that's going to happen throughout the whole series, the seeds were planted in the first volume. So even you guys may notice an issue, even archaic tiny little references in volume 1. Those are all the little tiny foreshadowings of the big stories that are going to be unfolding in the rest of the series.
Nice. Very cool.
You mean you had a plan when you were writing this? What, are you insane?
Yeah, can you believe the guy that wrote 52 self-contained genre-hopping horror stories?
I know.
All weave into something, the one giant story, be a Nightmare World. Yeah, imagine what I'm doing now with one cast and one set of characters in Tales of Mystery. Spoiler, Thelma Lucian. That's all I'm going to say. I cannot wait till people see more of her. She's one of my favorite characters in Nightmare World. She'll be she'll be in Tales of Mystery as we go on, and yeah. I almost spoiled something there. Yeah, you'll see, even in Tales of Mystery Volume 1, we had some cameos, some Easter eggs from Nightmare World. Well, even in Volume 2, we see more of Mystery's teacher, who is the guy that summoned Cthulhu in Nightmare World. He's the guy that becomes the tattooed wizard in Nightmare World, so. Lots of good stuff there. I want to give it high rereadability value.
There you go. That's always good, too. All right. So when does issue 1 drop? You said a couple weeks. Do you have a date?
Yeah, in a couple weeks. I don't have the final date yet. Okay. We ended up kind of using a different printer than we were going to at the last minute. So, yeah, should be on a couple weeks. Bug your comic shops. If you haven't pre-ordered it yet, it's Tales of Mystery Karmageddon, which is very prophetic of the whole series, I promise you. 4-issue miniseries. Issue 3 is actually in previews this week.
Oh, sweet.
So, have them order you issue 3, see if they can go back and order you the first 2 issues. You can get them all. It's well worth your time, I promise. It's they're not comics you're going to read and just put down and never think about again.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And where can we find you online?
I mainly I live on the internet, so yes. DirkManning.com has my tour schedule to date on there, which is actually going to be expanding a little bit more. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I even have a Instagram. No selfies, no dinner on my Instagram account. I promise.
I don't know why.
Shirley Temples and ice cream.
Yeah, there you go.
You take more pictures with ice cream than any person I've ever met.
That's true. That's very true.
Well, that's life on the road is ice cream,
Oh, is that what it's about?
Did you say you don't have a Tumblr, by the way? What's wrong with you?
No, I do have a Tumblr. I just don't know how to use it. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr.
Still on MySpace?
Yeah, it might be. I miss
only for the Mystery Rock album.
I miss the original MySpace. Josh Ross and I would talk about that all the time. How much we missed MySpace. In fact, someone on Facebook just dropped me a line the other day about MySpace. So it was very odd about the old days. But all just at Dirk Manning. Look for the guy with the top hat and the scarf. And then I'm going to be on the road basically until December at this point. I'm trying to think of the big shows that I'll be doing. Cincy Comic Con the first weekend in September. Tony Moore's show. Mm-hmm. Grand Con up in Michigan, September 19th. I'll be doing New York Comic Con for the first time in October.
Woo-hoo! Nice.
Yeah, I did the, I did the special edition, and that was really cool. A nice way to break in. So I'm doing that. Great Lakes Comic Con up in Macomb. Wizard World, Ohio. I'll be in Columbus on Halloween weekend. And some other good stuff lined up. But everything's at DirkManning.com. Check that out. Or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dirk Manning.
Cool. Awesome. And Chuck, John, you got any more questions for Dirk?
Nothing that I could say on the air.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say.
All right.
Yeah, listen to the outtakes. We talk about signing boobs.
Yeah.
How are you so cool, Dirk?
Well, I already know that.
I'm so cool.
I just.
It's the top hat.
It's the top hat. No,
I have a top hat.
Yeah, just do your own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't listen to what anyone else tells you.
Follow me.
Exactly.
No, I would tell you, but just do your own thing. So many people over the years have said, that's not going to work, or you're not going to be able to do this, and blah blah blah. I am. Am I a household name to comic people? No. But a hell of a lot of people know who I am. And I found that the good thing is everyone that reads my stuff has impeccable taste and is really cool. So it works out just fine. So
Awesome. Well, there's no better way to send you off than that. So, thanks so much again, Dirk. We love having you on the show, and we can't wait to have you back on again.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. I definitely look forward to talking to you guys again after 3 and 4 drop. Maybe we can we'll chat how things horribly wrap up.
Nice.
In a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. Horribly in a good way.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll say goodbye to Dirk now, and
Goodbye to Dirk now.
yeah, goodbye to Dirk now.
Thank you,
Goodbye
gentlemen.
to you.
I appreciate it.
Have a great night, Dirk.
I will see you later, Dirk.
That sounds great. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks again for having me on. Thanks, everybody.
Our pleasure.
All right, bye.
Welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was the very fun Dirk Manning. Once again, I think that's his third time on the show.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he's been on more than once. I've talked to him 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there
We
you go.
talked to
I mean,
him
I'm
3
just-
times this week.
Well, yeah, there's that whole man crush thing's going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean
Man,
I think this is the 3rd time I've done Zone 4 with him, and I'm
Wow. Then
I'm
this
pretty
might-
sure you guys have done more with him.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2. So yeah, he's been on the show several times. So awesome. Always a great guest to have on, as you guys just heard. So there you go. Definitely check out Tales of Mystery Karmageddon when it drops, and we will try to let you know. We'll try to keep track on when it comes out and let everybody know on the show. So, all right. So this is the we have no headlines this week. This was all about Dirk. We wanted to give him some time to talk about the new book. So we're just going to go ahead and wrap things up. Unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about.
Do not.
Well, there's always things I'd like to talk about. I don't know if it's necessarily
Podcast worthy.
let's just say for civil conversation.
There you
Podcast
go.
appropriate.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I'll bring one thing up because
Okay.
I know it interests a lot of our listeners.
Sure.
I was kind of blown away with this news when it came out a couple days ago, and it's starting to make news on the comic websites. But Hello Kitty is not a cat. She never was. She is a human girl, and she's British. So
Really?
yeah,
This is news to me. Actually,
I was about to say,
I've not
has
seen
she
this.
seen a mirror lately? Because she looks like a cat.
I think she's just a really dedicated cosplayer. Maybe I'm not sure.
Who never appears out of costume anywhere.
That's how dedicated she must be to her craft.
That must be.
Impressive.
I thought it was a real live cat. I just didn't know.
No, that's really I don't have much of anything to say other than if anyone's in the greater Dayton, Columbus, Ohio area, go check out Dirk at Superfly Comics this Saturday, the 30th.
Yeah.
Superfly. And so I guess that's about all I got to say.
Cool. All right, and hopefully, Chuck, we'll get you on again soon. Always good having you back
Healthier.
on the show as well. Yeah, definitely.
As long as those checks clear.
Oh, yeah,
we're on target.
We'll talk about that after the show.
Checks.
But we're definitely going to have Kerry on here soon because he's
don't
home
talk
right
to
now.
him.
Yeah.
Don't talk to him.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyway, this is the portion of the show where we go around the table and see what everybody has coming out, and going on. Chuck, you got anything you want to talk about here?
I'm expecting a new child.
Really?
In the mail.
In the mail.
In the mail?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
One of those
I'm not
Chinese
expecting-
deliveries?
Actually, Chechenian.
Chechenian. Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah, my Chech was in the mail. So.
Your check was in the mail.
Nice.
Sorry. No, I really don't have much going on. Going through some changes with my life, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do things. But one of the changes is I'm looking to start making more of an impact with, I guess the journalism aspect that I've been missing for a while. So we'll see where that leads, or it may lead nowhere. So that's a big nah.
Oh man. All right. So John, what do you got?
Hey, leading nowhere is what I do best. Well, but let's see. By Monday, I hope to have out the teaser image for my revamp of The Woman in Red. For people who don't know, That's an old pulp character that is now in the public domain. And there have been a couple of revamps over the years. One actually gave her superpowers and kind of a funky swimsuit costume and red skin, which I found a little surprising because it was kind of nothing like the character that I saw. But so yeah, hopefully I'll have that teaser image out Monday. Having a nice long weekend to work on it. Beyond that, kind of adding to what Dirk said toward the end, I've gotten real tired of relying on other people, with a few exceptions. So I'm just going to do everything myself from now on. I'm going to be, in addition to doing the one thing, I'm sorry, things are beeping at me and distracting me.
Hot pie's done.
Popeye's done. Dinner's served. Let's see. I've got 2 children's books that I've written that I'm going to go ahead and illustrate. The third children's book that I'm not writing, but I am drawing with an old teacher friend. She's not old, actually. She's a few years younger than I am. But with a teacher friend about the plants and a few animals and such in her backyard. She is leaning towards animation, so it occurs to me we might be able to do it as a flash animation. So I'm kind of looking into that a little bit. There's a guy in Australia who goes by Jazza, who does a lot of tutorials on how to do flash animation. And I've been sort of tapping him for my section of comic related, the sketch video section.
Right.
I kind of tap him for drawing stuff, but he's in truth an animator and a lot of other things, but he's an animator. He does a lot of animation videos, so I'm kind of looking into that. Then, in addition to that, I am going to do my Pneumatic Cases book that's been floating around for years, that I've been trying to get artists on for a long time, and with no success, so I'm going to do all that as well. In addition to that, I too will be at the Cincy Comic Con next weekend. Well, as you hear this, it'll be next weekend regardless. So the first weekend in September, I will be there as well. So I'll bump into Dirk Manning there, I'm sure. And other convention news possibly on the horizon, but we will hold that off till later. Other than that, plugging away at the Mighty Comic Related every day, along with young Brant there, even though he's in Texas now and has this great life.
Not so young anymore.
Well, you know.
This is true.
he is getting up there in the double digits, that's for sure. Along with Brant and the other Chuck.
Yes. The other Chuck.
The Chuck that is more.
The original.
The original Chuck. With the no additives Chuck. We're all plugging away every day at Comic Related, doing updates. As I said, I do the sketch section almost exclusively, except when I am medically disabled or otherwise foobarred up. Then Brant usually steps in and throws up something that I would have never found ever. So, you know.
But it's usually posted under your name, so nobody will ever know.
Yeah, it's always posted under my name, so who would know? So it makes me look brilliant, and anybody that can make me look brilliant is my friend. So, yeah, that's about it for me right now.
Okay. Let's see. I am working on Superhuman Resources Volume 2 again. That's going to be out from Action Lab at some point. We're doing the whole volume, the whole trade. So I'm on issue 2 right now. I believe there's 6 issues total. So it's going to be a while, but that is in the works. Jackhammer, the Usurper number 2, I think is going to be coming my way soon. That's also going to be published by Action Lab, or it might be the issue after that. I can't remember what issue we're up to. That's sad. Chris Charlton's Open Tree number 2. I'm also working on that for Assailant Comics. Doing some flatting and different things. New Comic Day, as far as I'm told, Kickstarter will be launching next week for the hardcover collection of the first 5 years. So we're working steadily on that, and of course I'm still trying to get the website back up, as it was lost thanks to a stupid update. But
doesn't that make you feel old though? That's been going on 5 years now.
I'm telling you.
I remember when that little thing started.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just not too long after this podcast started, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, wow, that's right.
Yeah. But, so all kinds of stuff going on there. And I still have the my prose story in the steampunk superhero anthology called Singularity Rise of the Posthumans is coming out tentatively Christmas. So I'll be looking for that, and I'll be talking about it more once I have a solid date and everything. And I think I might even be doing signings and stuff like that for it. So
nice.
Yeah, very excited about that. And I think that's all I've got to talk about this week. So there we go. So does anybody want to read us out?
I suppose I can do that.
All right.
But without funny voices this time.
Okay, that's fine.
We'd like to thank our guest one more time, Dirk Manning. And, of course, we would like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Rhee Wall Band and Society's Plague, that you hear on the show each and every week. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, send those to zone4@comicrelated.com. We are also a proud member of the Comic Related Podcast Network. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4.
Go buy Tales of Mr. Rhee, Karmageddon.
Mr. Rhee, that is spelled R-H-E-E, by the way, in case you didn't realize.
Yes. There you go.
You see evil eyes when the Joker smiles, when he pulls a knife, and he asks you why so serious.
Hello?
Dirk.
Hello,
What?
Mr. Faceless One.
What is up, my peoples?
How you doing?
Some imposter did an ice bucket challenge and used your name. I knew it couldn't have been you because he showed his whole face.
Exact. If I find that ugly son of a bitch, there's going to be problems.
You should smite him and mess up his hair.
Well, he did have the hair right, that's for sure. But, I mean, that hair was like made out of concrete or something. It didn't even move after you poured 50 gallons on it. So
I know. It was shocking and dismaying.
well, it's for a good cause. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna just dive right into everything. We're gonna do intros and just the little things up front, and then we'll just dive right into talking to you, Dirk.
that sounds peachy keen.
Cool.
Yeah, I got about. I don't know how long you guys want to go. I can give you an hour.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
That's very generous of you with your busy schedule.
You know what I mean.
I was being sincere. I know you're busy, man.
I miss your face.
Yeah, I think you're the only one.
Ninja sleeping style.
That's right. You can't even find me. I'm the only guy who can share a room with a ghost.
Okay.
Except you never get any sleep because the ghost has all the cheats.
Of course.
But
No, I just say you don't see either of us.
That's right. You don't see my face. You don't see Chuck's whole body. It's like there's nothing there.
Oh, I see you.
Not if
I see you right
share a room
now.
with you.
I see you right now.
Oh,
I know what you're wearing.
A black top hat, a black scarf, black sunglasses, and nothing else.
And nothing. Well, that's your normal con outfit. That's nothing new.
That's original.
It can't be you, Dirk. You don't dress like I thought I saw someone like you standing at your booth, but it didn't. It couldn't have been you. It didn't have a top hat on and a scarf.
Right.
Really? Hi.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we should officially get started here.
Okay.
All right, here we go. And with permission, that's all going in the outtakes. But
Done.
okay, cool.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.